Hey, look, guys, we're live. Everybody say hello to YouTube. All right, so just because we're on YouTube and now I have to be the fucking host of this show, welcome back, denizens of the den, for an unexpected episode. We were supposed to be on Twitch tonight to play a session 0 of a D&D campaign that we like to call Badlands and Bakesales, but Twitch said no. So we're coming home right here to YouTube, to the Bullfox's Den. Welcome, everybody. And please say hello to our amazing players. Why don't we introduce ourselves? Gas, would you like to go first because you are a regular on the show? Would you like to tell us about your thief? Okay, okay. And their name? Okay, I like it. I like it. I believe Brock? Are we bringing Brock back, or are you starting a new character tonight? Cool. Would you like to introduce Brock? You know what? I've just realized that we're sitting here staring at a black screen. Nobody wants to see that. So let's see here. We're just going to put on our stream proper here. Put my little Caden in the center there. So, did we ever decide an oath for you to have broken?
I think it's on my character sheet, but I have to like, I have to find it.
Well, let's see if we can get to your character sheet over here in Roll20. There we go. We got our Brock staff right here. Bio and info. Holy shit, you wrote me a novel. Nope. You have no mention of an oath here.
Alright. Yeah, so probably have to figure one out.
That shouldn't be too hard. All right, who'd like to go next? Do we have another character that we have all rolled up already?
I'm rolled up. Um, you can call me V. In-game, I am Albus Equitum. I am a very old wood elf who's sort of done the living, had 2 marriages, and both the kids are one's adventuring, one is no longer with us. So I'm just getting back out there, sort of dedicating some time to adventuring as I did in my youth. I'll see to it that you don't die, or that you dying is peaceful.
All right, all right. So, we don't have the player with us, but we do have a few choices for a companion here. And I'm gonna do something a little different, because yeah, it's my privilege as DM to consider what kind of characters that people can add to the world, but I'm going to have a little bit of fun. I'm going to go ahead and read their ideas to you, and we're going to see what you guys feel like you would want to adventure with. How do we feel about that?
Works for me.
All right.
That's good.
So, for 3 of you, Brock and Argost and Gas Giant, you all know your good friend who used to go by Sir Agni. Sir Agni of Flamebound is being retired, and that player's ideas are as follows. Justinian, Justin de Noir, a drow wizard of the noble de Noir family, who, despite being necromancers and other spooky and seemingly evil types, are pretty much just the Addams family. Choice 2, Marshall Blackwood, which will either be a Loxodon, a Kinku, or some other Corvidae race with the knight background, serving a noble family as their footmen and heralds officially. Unofficially, they are the quote-unquote problem solvers. Choice 3, a Leonin barbarian who calls the frontiers home, may or may not be a lost heir situation. And our final choice, a different Leonin who has the Dompier from Von Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, may also be a warlock or potentially a blood hunter, noble background either way. I know that's a lot to process.
What is this?
What was that?
Yeah, what is this for?
Yeah. So, this is another person's character. They had 4 character ideas and wasn't sure what they wanted to do.
Yeah, so this is
Oh.
which of these 4 choices would you feel most comfortable adventuring with?
I mean, to be honest, I'm down with either personally, just because kind of what the party needs, and I think the characters would be interesting. I'm down with either the Drow necromancer or the Leonid barbarian. They
Okay.
both sound very interesting to me.
Yeah, the necromancer would provide a nice balance with your cleric, I think.
Yes, someone that really cares about the passing on of people and one bringing them back.
Potential for a lot of tension and drama there.
That actually might be an interesting dynamic with my character because as an Oathbreaker Paladin, he's like also a necromancer, sort of. So he doesn't really value life like quite the same as probably your necromancer would, but he does kind of. It's a work in progress.
Okay.
Well, so far, what I'm hearing so far is, as far as me doing rogue shenanigans that could possibly either increase our wealth dramatically or get people gone really fast, I don't think I'm going to be getting a much pushback on some of this stuff.
No, it sounds like even if you decide to leave a trail of bodies, there won't be many bodies to leave a trail of.
I'll just be like, "Hey, yo, I dropped a body up here in the master bedroom. I need someone to come get this."
Okay, so this leaves our last player who is in chat tonight, which is Argos. You don't have to speak if you do not wish to, but I do at least require a text answer. Have you given any more thought to whether or not you wanted to pursue that idea you presented to me earlier?
I did, though I did not quite finalize the concept thereof because I have a massive headache.
Okay. Well, would you like to present your idea? I'm sure that you can do so more eloquently than I can.
Doubtful.
All right, well, giving a rough sketch, I believe we were speaking of a dragonborn Goliath.
That was what birthed the original idea, yeah.
Okay. Did we have a idea for class?
Well, that was the most conundrum aspect for me.
Okay. I know I kind of forced you into the barbarian last time, so I don't want to urge you one way or another this time.
Yeah, that
Well,
wouldn't work in this instance anyway.
there's actually an option here. Did you want to be a marshal or a caster?
Argos.
If I'm thinking of the lineup, it would probably lean Marshall.
Okay. Well, if you want to be a marshal, since technically speaking, um, the concept of a dragonborn Goliath, those are two separate species that there is no like half 1-4 doesn't really exist per se. So it's something we'd have to like cherry pick racial features from each one to make something that's roughly balanced. But what you could do to get more of that like giant stuff in there is a subclass for the fighter that is it's rune something. Let me look it up real quick.
The Rune Knight.
The rune knight. That has a lot of like giant flavor to it. In fact, some of what you can do is you can act one of the class abilities is you can actually make yourself bigger and become large or larger size depending on what you got going on.
Speaking of which, there is a homebrew entry over on one of the wikis that says just that.
Let me look.
For those of you listening at home, the homebrew traits for the Dragonborn Goliath include an ability score increase of 2 to strength and 1 to charisma. Alignments. Most Dragonborn Goliath tend to be good or evil overall and lean towards being lawful. Let's see. Medium size, base speed of walking, or base walking speed of 30 feet. Of course, draconic ancestry. Now, the trick is with the Dragonborn Goliath, the damage resistance is dependent on them already having received the damage for them to become resistant to it, which is a bit iffy. I think we might spitball that if we decide to use that. They do count as one size larger when determining carrying capacity and the weight they can push, drag, or lift. They're naturally proficient in athletics, and they, of course, have draconic endurance. They can also speak, read, and write in common, draconic, and giant.
Mm.
Now, if he does decide to go with this, the next step would be, we can decide class in a minute, but the next step would be deciding what kind of dragon he would wish to pull his heritage from. Do you have any thoughts or preferences there?
Well, the idea kind of evolved for me, and what was making the class such a conundrum was that I kind of wanted to lean on it being more, shall we say, pure in spirit than the Goliath part. So the giant part wasn't really a consideration for me.
Okay.
I was looking through the various different dragons to be like whatever was going to jump out at me and be interesting to me personally.
Mm.
And of course, it's going to be something off the wall because why not? So what I stumbled upon to think about and how it would actually end up working out was the unlikely pairing of a blighted dragon and a rust dragon.
Okay. So let's see, that'd be cold. And then this one does not have.
Okay, let's see what we got here. Well, that's interesting.
So cold and acid is what I'm seeing here.
Okay, so the Rust Dragon does. Okay. Well, the real challenge here is the real challenge with all this is that we're looking at from a game balance perspective is looking at usually you have a single draconic heritage or one that's more dominant than the other, and that's what's going to give you all of your like all of your traits and stuff like that. Um Trying to mix and match this could be a little interesting.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, haven't had really the chance to work out all the logistics of it yet.
Well, here's the funny thing is so and this is where we could play around with the balancing of it. Rust dragons have an ability called rust metal. Any non-magical weapon made of metal that hits the dragon corrodes after dealing damage. The weapon takes a permanent and cumulative -1 penalty to damage rolls. If this penalty drops to -5, the weapon is destroyed. Non-magical ammunition made of metal hits the rust monster is destroyed after dealing damage.
Mm-hmm.
What we could do is for your base like baseline stats, we could go with a white dragonborn, right? But also we could go with a white dragonborn, but we can take that rust metal ability because that can be both a boon and a bane. For instance, depending on what you're playing as, maybe you can't wield especially if you're a martial, you can't wear metal armor, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'd wear it and it would just after a couple minutes it would just fall apart, right?
Yeah, that's kind of why I said it wouldn't really work before, because like if you were to use a weapon per se that is rustable, then it would just kind of be useless because you'd be caught in the crossfire.
Yeah.
Unless, of course,
Well,
you decide to play a monk
Yeah, I was gonna say if you play a monk, or
I
if you
did
play,
briefly consider that, but I don't know. It just didn't seem to fit the vision I was going for.
because if you play a monk, you would wear no armor anyway. But that also means that when enemies hit you, you wouldn't like when enemies hit you, you would have like you could literally destroy their weapons and stuff like that.
Which is an interesting concept.
And maybe that also means that like normally monks also can use like monk weapons, but like until we get higher level and we can get certain materials like either magical weapons or magical or more like mythic materials and stuff like that, like you may just be stuck punching, kicking, clawing and biting until you can finally pick up a weapon that isn't just going to fall apart in your hands, right?
Which, as it so happens, because I am who I am, and I've been planning this campaign for literal years, I may have a couple ways around that. So that
Well,
could
one of
lead.
which
Hmm.
one which that I've used in a lot of my campaigns, especially in older like third edition when the rules for druids were really strict, like no metal weapons or armor or anything like that. Um, as a druid, there used to be this there was a material called ironwood, which you could make what would have been metallic weapons out of it, like swords and stuff. And it um it holds a blade or holds an edge, and it is lighter than metal, and it's supposed to be as strong as iron, but it's wood, right?
Yeah.
So, uh, and really the only way to make weapons out of it is literally to use like magic spells like shape wood and stuff like that to form a weapon out of it. Otherwise, you would like saw blades take forever to cut through it, all kinds of stuff. Is really interesting stuff. So there's all kinds of like weird materials out there that can be used to kind of um like get around some of these drawbacks. But at the
Yeah.
same time, so like you can get something really cool out of this, and it kind of seems like a little bit of a hindrance at first, but as the campaign moves forward, you would easily have all kinds of options going forward, right? So, it's my 2 cents.
Sorry, I started snacking. It would also give me a chance to A, bring back an NPC, and B, introduce one that I was thinking of introducing later, but hadn't quite had a reason to.
But the other side to this is if you don't want to be a monk, you could still do this all right with this character, but instead of wearing metal armor, quite literally, just your AC is going to take a hit. But you could literally just wear like, you could either wear like hide armor or leather or something like that, which isn't metallic, and you'd still be fine. You just wouldn't have the best armor class.
Yeah.
That
So,
you'd also have to go way more into dexterity to
yeah.
make that happen.
So it's definitely not the worst thing because there are ways that we can think of that will let you work around the potential rusting and destruction of any armor or weapons you may want. But yeah, ultimately it comes down to if you want to pursue this class. Well, this character rather. Okay, I see him typing, so.
There is all kinds of options here.
While we're waiting on his response,
Mm-hmm.
as far as I've heard, if River does return, River will still be playing River, although they may be changing classes.
Okay.
So I will keep you updated on that.
Okay.
Which I believe brings us to the part that we were going to discuss on Pirates the other night, which is safety tools and whether or not they are a good thing. But
Okay.
you know me, it's I always ask. We're going to get into consent and what we would like to see in this campaign, what we would like to avoid. So does anybody have any specific requests of what to avoid?
I have. Well, let's put it this way. Anything that you could potentially mention on YouTube without getting your channel and these videos and streams completely demonetized, I am 100% okay with. So really, it would be up to just about anyone else.
Yep. Brock, Albish, you got any requests?
Request like for what?
Is there anything in the campaign that you'd wish to avoid or see?
Nah, not really. I trust you guys.
Ah, okay. So, Argos says he didn't say white dragon, but blight dragon.
Mm.
So let's
Now I gotta
see.
look that crap up.
Had centered the idea of the character to be steeped in his dragon heritage, running in contrast to the humanoid appearance he's adopted. Perhaps even that itself being his class and how he relates to the world, combat or otherwise. Speaking to some narrative of his raising or some happenstance that obfuscates his origins, but to which he might return. With his personal perspective of story to follow is him tracing after that ancestry where possible, deciding what and who he shall yet be, post being raised by a found family that had use for his natural ability to destroy metallic arms. The blight, meanwhile, I saw as more of an undercurrent rather than involving its necrofire, focusing instead on its other defining trait of draining the life of others, thus able to double down on simply being acidic and give some plausibility per se to his above average growth, or something like that. Such was the strike of the inspiration.
Well,
let's look up a blight dragon here.
That same link. It's up at the top.
So, well, the reason I was looking it up is because I also want to look at their alignment and such. Okay. See, I could see that. A blight and a rust dragon. Which would seem to push his alignment more towards lawful evil than anything else. Ooh, are we quiet?
Well, okay. The other one. So I'm looking at this. So blight dragons are not the only ones that were created that have necrotic stuff. So little trick is you can call something whatever you want to call it and make the character or the thing look however you want it to look. The stat block, even if the stat block says it is this, it doesn't have to be that, right?
Yep.
So as a player character, when it comes to the necrotic aspect of things, there is a player species already made for Dragonborn. There is a they expanded it from just the chromatic and metallic ones. They made gem Dragonborns. Gem dragons, they utilize the they tend to utilize the a lot of the lesser use damage types like force, radiant, psychic, thunder, and necrotic. And a topaz gem dragon happens to use necrotic for their breath weapon and stuff. It is foreseeable that one could use the topaz dragonborn stats, like player stats, right? And then because this stuff is identical to the regular dragonborn stats. It's just it changes everything to necrotic instead of whatever. The other thing is the other way of doing this is if they wanted to focus more on the blight side of things. Quite literally can use like all the stuff from a black dragonborn, and that would give them all of the acid stuff if the depending on how they wanted to do this. And you literally can call yourself anything you want.
Except Bobo's space clown.
Well, you know.
Okay, so someone has said that the stream sounds a little quiet. It sounds fine on my end. Is anybody else finding it a little quiet?
Well, hold on. I usually have it muted because I don't want the echo.
Yeah, the bleed.
Yeah. It is a little quiet.
Okay.
Not too bad. Though my television, I only have it set to 15, which is pretty low. So you know.
Well, if a Nox is in chat, Nox can tell us whether or not it's quiet. We have 5 whole watchers, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay. So.
All right, so yeah, I'm pretty sure we've given Argos some things to think about.
And we can get back to this.
Okay, so Nox says it is not quiet for them, but they are using an earbud.
Well, then I assume we're fine then.
Yeah, mostly I just want to get a couple of opinions. Because screwing around with the levels in OBS, especially while we're midstream, is a pain in my ass.
Mhm.
All right, so that, let's see, let's take an inventory. We have our paladin with tinker status, which, please, for the love of God, don't let me think that you are an artificer again. That was weird.
Sorry, I'm not. I just don't have like anything dead to do stuff with yet.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if I start leaning into your tinkering again and treating you like an artificer, don't be afraid to nudge me and be like, I'm a paladin, remember?
Yeah,
We
no,
have...
sure.
What was that?
I was saying, yeah, like I'll do that when the time comes.
Okay. So that means we also have our... what class... Okay, we have a cleric, that's right. And then we have our thief. I believe, again, if River is playing the same character in the same class, River will be our fighter. And then, from what I hear, if I followed these context clues correctly, we are leading towards the necromancer? Is that what I heard?
Well, I don't know what everyone else said. I didn't catch that part.
For not instead of his warlock.
Like I said, I'm okay. Like I said, I was either the Leonid Barbarian or the Necromancer. Those are the two that I think are the most interesting.
Okay. Well, that really leaves it up to if Argos decides to go for his Dragonborn, it really leaves it up to what class you might be leaning towards. Because right now, we have a good martial balance, in my opinion, with our paladin, fighter, and rogue.
I'm a marshal, but I'm not going to be front line.
No. You are supporting DPS always. That is how rogues should be played. I'm saying martial as opposed to caster.
Oh yeah, no. I will be poking people in the most inopportune times for them, but the most opportune times for us. Or shooting them. I mean, either way, I am.
Yes.
I'm gonna fight dirty.
So, like I said, the necromancer, honestly, in my opinion, would probably be a good way to lean, because that will balance out our cleric in both personality and storyline, but also in casting prowess. so that we're not
Well,
stuck with a mostly martial field and our only quote unquote distance casting is the cleric.
well, I won't be able to do this early on, but as a rogue, as a thief rogue specifically, um, I get the ability once we start getting magic items to ignore racial, class, and other requirements for magic items and just be like, nope, I'm going to use this because I said I could. So, we get a really cool magic staff that requires a wizard, but we don't have a wizard or a sorcerer or something. I can be like, "Well, I'm going to take that. I'm going to stand here in the back and go fireball, 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 magic missile."
Okay, so if we're all set on character creation right now, because we don't have everybody here, I am really hesitant to just jump straight into a traditional session 0. However, this is not a completely new campaign. 3 of you have played before. Now we have tweaked the story enough to where it's not going to be exactly the same, but it's not going to be wildly different. Think of mamboing slightly to the left. But because this is not a completely new campaign, and I want everybody to get kind of a feel for what you guys do as a group, would you like to discuss any personal highlights of the campaign or anything that you liked that you'd want to keep?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good with whatever. So,
Personally, I probably like just like individual character moments, like obviously not like focusing all on one person for too long, but just little situations as we progress through the campaign where each party member's uh, like strengths, weaknesses might be uh, you know exhibited.
Yeah, something
Uh,
to flesh them out a bit more.
yeah, like
It's a good thing I started on that player base back before we restarted this, because that's exactly what I was building it around, was giving you guys each a little area that you could explore your talents and skills with. So a slight retool, maybe. It might actually be more appropriate now if we're adding a cleric and a necromancer. What I would like you to do in order to prepare for that, because I do still want to give you that exact same player base, especially you, Brock, because you're our paladin. I need you each to choose a quote unquote good or light aligned god, and then a quote unquote evil or dark god that you would is not necessarily going to be included, but that your character specifically may or may not look up to. You don't have to do it now, but just something to think about.
yes. And whoever is going to be the necromancer, if they decide to take a few levels in Bard, they can be an entirely new type of character and be a necro dancer.
Which I would love, but considering how Agni was played last time, we'll see how that plays out.
Actually, there is a video game called The Tomb of the Necro Dancer. So
Yes, there is.
it's a music rhythm game where it's like music rhythm, but you're doing all of the dungeon stuff to the beat.
And for those of you who are nerds like me and had a Switch, they even did a crossover with Legend of Zelda.
I know that. I played that with my friend. We played that multiplayer.
Okay, so any NPCs that you guys might want to see repeat? Mother Miriam is coming back. We cannot get rid of her. And of course, your old rival is coming back because she's the fucking big bad evil guy. I can't get rid of her.
Gotcha. As long as there are plenty of individuals, I have no preference on any specific NPC, just as long as there are enough NPCs for which I can I can shave off enough nipples to make a pepperoni pizza.
I was about to say, I think Chemo may not be glad to see you again. So about the rules, Shu, we were discussing 2014 versus 2024. I believe what we decided is that we're going to use mostly. Was it we were going to use mostly 2014, but then use 2024 for combat, or?
Well, no. So my suggestion was we allow for we get like as far as general rules of the system, we're gonna use 2014. Only taking in 2024 rules where there are gaps, right? And allowing players to and then using the 2024 versions of monsters from the monster manual and possibly and also the 2024 player options. And the reason why is the 2024 player options are literally going to streamline a few things in combat to make those things quicker. And in general, those options are actually slightly more powerful anyway, even if they're a smidge different. But there's a lot of classes, things like the ranger got improved. Not a whole lot, it still has issues, but the ranger did get improved. The monk got vastly improved in those new rules. So did the warlock. The one class that did get a nerf was the paladin. And that nerf comes in the fact that you have to use a bonus action to smite now instead of smiting as part of the action you attacked with, which just means you can only smite once per round instead of twice. It's not like the hugest nerf, unless, of course, you were one of those players that was going to blow every spell slot they had to smite on every attack in every combat.
Which is fair.
So, in general, it's not that big of a thing. They also kind of made all the smites spells. So like they're all spells and they're all bonus action spells and they don't require concentration or anything. You just make an attack, then come in and go, oh yep, no, I'm gonna use my bonus action now, and I smite. It's functionally identical, and it's functionally identical nearly, and the thing is most paladins weren't using their bonus action for anything anyway. But it also, there's a lot of abilities that a lot of classes didn't get till like level 11 or 10 or 12. Now a lot of those abilities, you actually get those around 6 or 7. Which means that, like for instance, with a rogue, I'd have to wait till level 11 using the 2014 rogue to get reliable talent. I get that at level 7 using the 2024 version. The 2024 version of all martial classes also includes they also include weapon masteries, which are little extra things that your weapons can do, like knock people over, slow them down, give you extra attacks, do damage even on a miss, cleave into other opponents with a single attack. Which gives marshals a little more to do and a little more to think about than what they had before. So those were all my suggestions that I put forward.
All right. All seems fair,
So.
honestly. Feels like Warlock can make the best use of masteries with a packed weapon.
Oh no! So unfortunately, warlocks do not get weapon masteries. However, because they're casters, not marshals, but you can literally do a level 1 dip into like fighter or ranger or paladin or barbarian or something, and pick up that weapon mastery, and then whatever your packed weapon is, you can then use the weapon mastery for it, right? The cool thing though about warlocks is warlocks are not restricted to just a packed weapon. They don't they don't have to choose between packed to the blade, packed to the chain, or packed to the tome. They can literally take all three if they want now, because all of their packs are Eldritch invocations now, and they're available right from level 1. In addition to that, you get more Eldritch invocations with the 2024 Warlock than you did with the 2014. The other bonus there is things like a couple of the Eldritch invocations, like Agonizing Blast, does not only works with any cantrip the warlock wants to have it apply to, not just Eldritch Blast. And the same thing with some of the other cantrip affecting ones. A lot of those ones that used to only affect Eldritch Blast, a lot of them now can affect a Eldritch Blast or a different cantrip that you know. You still have to take, like, you can't just take Agonizing Blast and have it work on all your cantrips. You literally have to pick, like, it's on a per cantrip basis. So it's like, I pick Agonizing Blast, but I'm doing it for Firebolt or Cone of Cold or whatever, or Chill Touch, right? And you then get to add your charisma modifier to that cantrip now. So it offers a little bit more build variety too. You're not just like, even though Eldritch Blast is still one of the better cantrips, if you want to do something different, it allows you to do so.
Okay, we have actually lost Albus.
Okay.
Oh no.
I'm just making a note of what our party looks like right now.
So, like, those are my suggestions. What I'm just out of curiosity, what are the rest of you guys cool with those suggestions as to what options we're using?
I'm pretty sure Argost is more focused on his headache, and I'm pretty sure Brock's going to say, "Let's go."
Okay. Then that's what we'll do. And so I was going to remake my character. There's not a whole lot to remake because I mean, I think the last time we played this like when I was playing this campaign, I think we got to what, level 2?
Yes,
And
because we were using event instead of EXP.
yeah, we're using milestone leveling instead of experience points.
Which is
Which I
probably a
use
good
in
thing
all my campaigns.
because every time I gave you combat opportunities, you never took them.
I mean, I did, but I usually snuck up on somebody and
Yeah, I meant
stabbed a
more
bitch
of
before.
the party in general.
Oh,
I
yeah.
believe the
Well,
most direct combat opportunity that presented itself was something that was supposed to be a simple rogue interrogation and then turned into removal of nipples a la pepperoni.
yeah.
Ah,
You have Albus listed twice.
So I am going to get into
well,
the
Albus
game.
is about to be unlisted. Albus has just informed me that unfortunately they do not feel a vibe with the group, so they don't believe that they are going to adventure with us, sadly.
Well,
Which brings us
that is
back
their choice.
down to a 5-person party.
Okay, then. Well, here's what I'm going to do. You know what the easiest thing to do is? Okay. Okay, we're gonna go put that in mine. There we go. Okay. Edit sheet directly. I am not going to. Okay, cool. I now have my new version of my.
Oh yeah. Why don't I pop that up real quick?
Oh, the.
Give everybody a little taste of what's to come.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and pop the image here. Da 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 da. Oh, did I save it? Ah, I hadn't got to it yet. It is in our character art sheet. As always, you live up to the giant part of your name. By which, of course, I'm just joking that these images are almost always incredibly huge.
Oh.
It's okay. I just need to resize them. All right. Turn me off here. And we shall transition to the lovely character art you provided for Ash.
Oh, there you go.
So that is our thief rogue. And give me one more second here.
So, I'm gonna be honest here. I did this while I was at work.
Hey, considering you did it at work, that's pretty good.
I did it at work, and I work at a public school, meaning this is your tax dollars at work.
All right, and so let's switch around real quick. So after Ash, we also have character art for our lovely paladin, Brock. So that is our gnome paladin.
Yeah, I just looked that up before we started.
And you know what the great thing is? If you decided to be blonde haired and blue eyed, and you get separated from the party, you can start to make a bunch of ingenious traps in the environment, and you can be a gnome alone.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, I could just trap everything. I could but yeah, I could turn our base into a death trap basically.
You could.
You could.
See what I did there? Which also reminds me of a meme I saw the other day that said, I guess Disney is planning on making a reboot of Home Alone, and someone suggested that they should just cast 38-year-old Macaulay Culkin as a 9-year-old Kevin McAllister,
Which
and
did
nobody
make
in the movie
it made
and nobody in the movie no, but nobody in the movie would acknowledge the fact that he's an adult. Like, everyone would still treat him like he's 9.
right, and that did upset Macaulay because
Oh,
he
really?
is 39 and not 38.
Well, anyway, the point being, though,
Yeah, that was
you
his
know,
only complaint. He's like, I love this idea, except I'm 39.
but still, that would be hilarious.
Oh yeah, I love it. I say go for it. Okay, I am trying to pull up the other picture, but of course, it wants to be a dick. Okay, so another piece of art that we have, our lovely starting area, which would be the square of Saphira. So for those of you who are, well, I mean, I don't believe we have a new a new player anymore. So remember from the last time we played the campaign, this is where you saw a unfortunate plummet of about 30 stories into the square, which will be happening again. Don't worry. But now there's a statue. So we might have more fun with the impact zone on that.
I was told it was supposed to be I was going off of some of the descriptions you gave me from some of the different areas
Yeah,
in
yeah.
other communications we had. And then at like
because
the end,
when I had it in my head, it was definitely just the bare bones basic. It was like I said, it's like 1920s deco New York. So like Times Square without all the screens. It was just a bunch of skyscrapers and a giant space with a balcony that was positioned over it for the prince to speak. Honestly, I kind of like this idea better. It works out.
I
It shows
well, I
off.
went with because you were talking about how it being with the elven stuff, everything is more Art Nouveau. So I went with the more swirly and the more swirly and plant like decorations that you see in that. And then about like I want to say 2/3 of the way through the picture, when I had realized that I still had to do buildings on the other 4 sides, I was like, "F this, I'm getting lazy," and I just drew some generic roofs to fill in the rest of it.
Yeah, but it gives you a nice feel. And also with honestly, the addition of the shrubbery and such does add a little more tactical consideration for when the scene gets started.
Yeah.
I don't know if your paladin will be throwing sausages at people's heads again.
He might. I can't rule it out.
I may have to just
Oh,
lean into that and make you a specialty throwing weapon.
does that mean, does that mean if we all start doing does that mean if we all start throwing sausages, we can make this a sausage party?
Fest.
And
I
that is
mean,
that is my MO. I will be anyone who's watched any of the leverage stuff we've done, when we play games like this, I will throw out cheesy dad jokes and one-liners constantly.
And somehow end up with everybody's number by the end of You know what? I think I should give you. I should give that to you as a unique class feat. You already had your criminal contacts. You're basically I know a guy.
Yeah.
So I think I should just give you the magical equivalent. I'll give you a sending stone, and I'll give you the magical equivalent of just a cell phone full of people's numbers that you can call, like just a black book of one night stands that owe you a favor.
That'd be good.
Now, the only thing about this particular drawing that I am not curious, but that we're gonna have to work on is who the fuck is that a statue of?
I have no idea. I just made it some kind of generic elven warrior that is being like deified in some way, or like whatever. With the like the wings and shit. Because you know how like I don't know you like because you know how like in medieval art, a lot of times like you'll see pictures of like King Arthur sometimes, or even Knights of the Round Table, or specific kings or other people that existed in history, that when they are when they have a picture of them in a book, a lot of times if they are someone who ends up being canonized or is particularly important to the history of that part of the world, a lot of times you might see them with halos drawn above their heads, regardless of the fact that they are just people, right? Or other such depictions where they're made to look bigger than reality, right? And so that was like what I was thinking of here, like some elven warrior that did something in the past, maybe even led to the way the city is now. And like like their story has existed for so long that it is whatever historical context there actually was is no longer important.
That
The
does
myth,
work out.
the legend, the myth, the legend of that person is greater than any actual historical deed they ever accomplished.
Yeah.
Right? Which is why they have like the angel wings on them, because I don't know, maybe they want people to think that they are grander than maybe they actually were. That was my thinking.
Thieves' Cant is just dad jokes confirmed. Don't tempt me there, Shu. I will make it to where all Thieves' Cant must be in the form of dad jokes.
And I will do it too. I will walk up to a guy and I gotta I need to ask somebody for a favor, and I'm actually talking to the stable hand, but I'll walk up to a horse and go, "Hey, why the long face?" And the stable hand knows exactly what I'm asking him.
That's cruel and unusual. Do I need to have Brock tell you about his shining moment in the campaign?
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of spur of the moment. I think it was a distraction. While we were trying to look for some contact in a brothel, I used all the scrap I picked up and built a flame-breathing dildo.
Yes.
And it worked!
In fact, if you give me a second, I'm trying to find the... Yes, there we go.
Yeah, it's Mr. Tickles.
Yes, I have Mr. Tickles. Give me one moment, because if we're going to show Mr. Tickles, then it's only fair that she gets her... Oh, you know what? We actually have we have two that we need to show as well. Give me a second here.
Also, just because I have a thing for nuns, I think I will be doing a picture of the of our brothel owner.
You already did.
Oh, I did?
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't. Oh, that's one of the ones you were going to show?
Well, yeah, if I could find the damn thread we added to her.
Oh, gotcha. I don't know. I could probably do a better one now
You probably
than
could.
that one.
I mean, yeah,
And
we have two sketches here of Mother Miriam, but always time to improve.
But yeah, one of those sketches of Mother, I think one of those sketches of Mother Miriam, you might have to censor it a little bit to show it on
I already
on
checked.
YouTube.
It doesn't show enough to trip any censors.
Gotcha.
I think Mr. Tickles would be more likely.
I'm just just putting that out there.
Right on the edge.
Also, we have heard from Not, so he will be playing Justinian as the Necromancer.
Okay.
So we do have that. Oh, named it. Named it. Oh, you Nox. You know what's better than that? Where did I save that to? There we go. We didn't just name it. Mr. Tickles, our flamethrowing assistive device.
Perfection.
Yep.
Okay, so let's see. What else do we have here?
Well, at least somebody loves it here.
Hey, that's what the Din's all about. We're gonna be weird. It's gonna be kind of freaky, and you know, if you love it here, good.
I think I
We don't
saw
see
that
dead people
earlier.
here. All right, we need to move this. Stop moving things that I didn't select. You dick. Okay, again, this one was actually drawn by the player themselves. This is their own art of the character. And it's a little squished because I cannot for the life of me get this thing to work. There we go. So we also have our human fighter, River. Who looks perpetually bored, if we're on it. But yeah, there is also one that I forgot about, which I am very upset that I forgot about him. And that is one of our NPCs, the orc blacksmith Akif. We didn't really get to play much with Akif because by the time they got to Akif, we were trying to transition out of the city, and we were running around with like chickens with our heads cut off. We had already cut off men's nipples.
Yes. Yeah, no, and the reason, I mean, that one's okay, but I think I did that one when I was just sitting around in between like stuff you were in between descriptions, and I sketched that on the back of an envelope with a ballpoint pen.
Okay, and then we have a headshot of our brothel mistress, Mother Miriam.
Same thing there. Did the same ballpoint pen. And I did take a look at the body shot, and it's it's not, that's not as risque as I thought it was gonna
Yeah,
be.
no, it's a very
It's very
chiaroscuro
tasteful,
if I had to
actually.
choose. Yes, it is quite tasteful. And I am about to show it. This is our full body shot of Mother Miriam. Mother Miriam runs our high-class brothel, the Golden Stag, located in the High Elf District. While she does appear to be a nun, she has a dirty little secret, which we will not disclose until the time is correct. So we have all of that. Is there something else I wanted to show? Ah,
I think
yes.
I made a
What was
I
that?
think I made a sketch of that I think I made a sketch of that secret too.
I don't know if you did. I only have 2 pictures saved in the thread we put to her.
Oh, it's not in the thread for her specifically, it's in the character art on the Discord.
Ah.
If you go into character art and look at the picture right above her.
Well, let me pull out.
I wouldn't post that one.
Yeah, I don't think that one needs to be posted right now. I did also one of the things is I am terrible at art, and I can't always. I feel bad constantly pestering Gas for like, hey, we need art. So occasionally when I have a character in mind, I'll go to a website and see if I can't find a sort of, not an AI. I hate using AI. I used it a couple times for this campaign. It didn't really come out the way I wanted it to. So this one I just went to Hero Forge. Yeah, this is a it's a quick concept of our big bad evil guy, our affectionately named Muffy.
Oh yes.
In fact, I created basically a 360 because this was the Hero Forge creates miniatures for those of us who aren't familiar with it. So I created a miniature which it gives us a good 360-degree view of what Muffy may look like. So I went ahead
He
and
kind of reminds me of. I know those are probably supposed to be horns, but he kind of reminds me of a kobold or a gnoll version of that guy. I can't remember the name of the band. The singer, the song Firestarter.
oh, the Prodigy.
Yes. Just the angle, those two purple bits coming off, kind of remind me of that dude's hair.
Yes, they are supposed to be her horns because she is very I'm not going to say fashion conscious, but she does like to appear unique.
Gotcha.
So yes, like I said, we have a 360. So we have her from all sides.
Okay, I was right. She is a kobold.
Yes, she is a kobold. She has 2 secrets, which again I'm not going to reveal here because they play heavy parts in the campaign. Let me see. Is there anything else that we wanted to show off while I'm here?
Oh.
No, I have there's some concepts of Golden Stag, but I don't really have anything that stood out.
Oh man. The pictures though that I did for like Mother Miriam, it does remind me when I was in high school. I was working with one of my best friends, and we had to do a paper on the 1920s and like prohibition and all the stuff that came with it. And we decided to do our paper on the mafia. Well, I did a bunch of custom artwork for that, as I tend to do for my my projects and stuff like that. And I drew a couple pictures of stuff like Tommy guns, or like a gangster in a old 1920s suit, that kind of stuff, right? And then the entire class lost their shit when we brought up the slide on prostitution. Again, the pictures were actually quite tasteful, and I already cleared them with the teacher. But high school age people, they're like, "Oh my god, look, it's a booby,"
Right, yeah.
and I'm like, "Yes, yes, those are tits." Half the people in this class have them. 50% of the people in this class have them, and only 49% of this class is female. I'm talking about you, Stan.
All right, so one last thing that I'm going to show before we wrap this up, because we've already been going for almost an hour and a half, and I think we got everything done that we wanted to discuss. But also, this this just helps us out because it works as a nice little reminder. This was a handout that I didn't get to hand out because we don't play this in tabletop. In fact, literally no one in this campaign is close enough to each other to just pop over to the house for about 30 minutes. So, unfortunately, I didn't get to put this on Roll20. I did put it on Roll20, but I didn't get to really show it off. So I get to show it here, which maybe we should do this on YouTube because I love it on YouTube and I can show things like this. This is our invitation, which was to be handed out at the beginning of the game, which sets up our first scene, our centennial speech. from the prince of the city. And you can't really see the purple there. So let me pull this up just to make sure that I can say it correctly. Accurately, I should say. Because I was proud of myself for being so cheeky. Right. So at the very bottom there, intentionally made, because this reflects the city, intentionally made to be as hard to read as possible, is we do remind all citizens that attendance is voluntary but highly encouraged. Any citizen not attending will be subject to exile or death. And that kind of gives you our feel for the city. But with that,
Yay.
what'd you say?
I said yay.
Yeah. With that, I think it's time to wrap this up. I think now that we are back to our original party, we can go ahead and do a session 0 again. When do you guys want to meet again? We should have done scheduling.
I'm good on most days.
I know
I
you're
run a
good on
game of my
Tuesdays
own.
because you're here.
Yeah. I run a game of my own on Mondays. I play in a game on Thursday. I run a game of my own on Saturdays. And Wednesdays, I think I also have a game I'm playing in.
Okay.
I got a shit ton of stuff going on in
Yeah.
regards to D&D.
Yeah. Brock, you got any preference on day?
We can just keep it well, ideally would be like Fridays, but I know that people probably have plans on Friday nights, so we can just keep it on Tuesday.
I am in fact on a podcast every Friday nights.
That's what I was going to say is I don't have a problem with Fridays, but I know Caden has his schedule.
Right. So if we do want to, if we might be able to pull it off earlier on Friday, but if we do it on Fridays, I have to be off of the D&D stream and ready to go and rock and roll on Pirates at 10:15 my time. So
Well, if we do 3-hour sessions and we do it earlier on Fridays, we could do it from 6 to 9 your time, which is 3 to 6 my time on
exactly,
Fridays.
that's what I was about to say. If we want to keep this to like 3-hour blocks, we can do that. So
And then you'd have still plenty of time to do that and be around for whatever.
exactly. So Brock, do you have a time you were looking at on Friday?
6 might work. Yeah.
Okay, what time zone are you in?
EST.
I was about to say you're PST.
Yeah.
Yes. Otherwise known as Second Lifetime for us degenerates.
Yeah, I'm also Pacific time, so
Yeah, so that kind of works out. So I can run that by Argos if he hasn't responded.
well, whatever time you guys do set, let me know so I know where to be.
I don't remember where the hell Not is. So let me ask him real quick. And then we'll run this by River.
Okay.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba.
Also, just putting this out there. I am just putting this out there. I have a ridiculous amount of experience with this system in particular, let alone um TTRPGs. So I am very outspoken when it comes to my opinions on different things concerning these games.
which is fine. So, River says they will actually be available Fridays at 6 PST, 9 EST for the time being. So that sounds like it could be a viable time slot.
Oh wait, hold on there. If it's 6 PST and 9 EST, isn't that 2 hours after Pirate starts?
No, that's an hour before Pirate starts. But you were correct. You were correct. I was being fucky.
Yeah, no, because Pirate starts for me at 7 p.m. or 7:15, which
Yeah.
is 10:15 for you guys. So if you were doing it from 6 to 9 your time, that would be 3 to 6 my time.
Yeah. I gotta go back and change
Which
that.
again might be too early which isn't too early for me because I work at a public school, so I'm well out of work by the time that starts. But not everybody else gets out that early.
Yeah. River says that's probably still doable.
Okay.
So we just gotta hear from we really have to pick a name for him. I got no problems referring to people as character names, but sometimes when it's screen names like Lord of Knot or Gas Giant, it gets a little unwieldy.
Well, the funny thing is I've had that name. I've used that name online for a ridiculous amount of time. And I picked that name for myself uh back, I think. It was back in the 90s when the internet was first a thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I and the thing is I was in high school at the time, so I was like, yeah, I want this to be kind of highbrow, but I also want to make it a fart joke. So I came up with Gas Giant and then proceeded to every iteration of it. I've gotten better pictures over the years, but every iteration of my profile picture has always been a picture of Uranus.
What the fuck?
Who in the hoop?
If I find out
What?
Oh, if Rivers saying that they are in EST, I was like, oh right, you're over here. They're like, no, I'm actually in these states. So I was like, if I find out you're like 3 hours away from me.
Yeah.
Okay, so Agni, now Justinian, says unfortunately they can rarely guarantee any day off ahead of time, so they will most likely not be available Fridays at 3 PST. Which
Gotcha.
isn't necessarily a game breaker. I'm gonna let it up to you guys whether or not you'd like to proceed with the campaign with a player down.
Well, I mean, I'm down for any time, really.
Right.
I'm pretty open as far as that goes. So, like, if there is another time that's a little more convenient so that we have everybody, I am okay with that. Um, you know, but, but if it's just an in general thing where they can't always guarantee that they'll always have whatever game day we have um available, um I mean, that's just something you have to deal with. unfortunately, the the price we pay for being gainfully employed.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you're me and you're trying to do your employment through YouTube, in which case the price you pay is being poor.
That is also true.
Oh, one thing that I did want to ask that is probably very important. You guys have said that you're up for anything, but you know me better than that. You know, if you say anything, I will push that. So I will ask now, are you guys up for me fudging the rules as written to where enemies can and will cast fucked up shit like Mage Hand within somebody's lungs? Keeping in mind this also does mean that you can do the same thing.
Yeah, why not?
Is that a generally
Maybe
not, you're
interesting.
not up for it, or you don't really care?
No, I don't really care. Like, if it's you think improve the campaign's overall tone, then yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yes, how about you?
I'm on the fence on it. Only because, for the most part, I'm on the fence on it mostly because we're not a very caster-heavy party, so it's
Mm-hmm.
not exactly something that we as players are going to be able to take advantage of, which means 9 times out of 10, it's something that is going to be used against us.
Well, you say that, but I have every intention of using it more as a, if you guys can come up with a creative way to silence a caster or some such, I'll probably allow it if you can make me a case. But also keep in mind, if you're not going to be caster heavy, I've written this as a more caster
Okay, I
heavy
got
than
one.
not campaign. Hold on. I've written it as a more caster heavy than not enemy or NPC campaign. So a lot of NPCs will be casters or have magic items. So I will be giving you plenty of opportunities to get items that can improve your range game, shall we say.
Well, I mean, if you're telling me, ask me if I want, if I have creative ways to silence casters, and keep in mind, I am a rogue. Sleight of hand is a skill that I am going to probably have proficiency, if not expertise in, as well as, mind you, I will probably talk to Mother Miriam and find and purchase from her an enticing array of various gags, plugs, and other such things that I can therefore silence other casters with creative use of the sleight of hand skill. I'd like to see a caster try to cast fireball when they are choking on a 14-inch sausage. And like I said, that's not going to be what do you call it? That's not going to be outright DPS, but that's certainly going to be some crowd control, if you know what I mean.
Oh, it's going to be something per second, all right.
I'm just saying, if we're gonna let imagination run wild here, I mean, I'm down for it. But
I mean, like,
I'm
you
going.
know, I read these things about, like, parties that, you know, have creative uses of Mage Hand, like casting it inside a mage's mouth in order to hold their tongue Because as written, Mage Hand does not specify that you have to see your target, just as long as it's within range.
Depends on which version, but yes. Let's just say I like to use verticality when I can. I was in a campaign once where I grappled a fire elemental and then suplexed it off the parapet of a fortress we were assaulting. And I went down 50 feet with the fire elemental to make sure that he slammed into the ground. I took that fall damage just so I could make sure the fire elemental did.
Right. Okay, so just a reminder, I mean, you guys know me, again, now that we don't have a new player. This is the same old group, but I want to say it because of our YouTube audience. They don't know our dynamic. But you guys know that I am not an experienced DM. The only campaigns I have run have been the ones here on Discord. The first one was a total bust. And our first run of this campaign was going pretty good, but I was making shit up on the fly. However, I am going to implement a new rule specifically that comes from that first Disasters campaign when we were trying to play what is it? I have it over here somewhere.
I don't think I was part of that first disastrous one. Because I think the first version of this campaign was the first one I was in.
No, yeah. You weren't part of that one. It was it's a one shot. I have it over here. I just can't find the damn book to it. I think it was Mists of Fandel or something like that. I don't know.
Okay.
It involved a dragon.
Well, I know most of the like introductory campaigns that Wizards has made because I've had to run them for like new players and shit. But just so everyone's aware, if you are if there's anything that you're unsure about, hit me up. I have literally played D&D since 1987.
Oddly, I can't find the damn campaign book. Luckily, I did take the time to download a lot of the books. Where the hell? Yeah, I think it was The Lost Mine of Fendelver.
Yep. I played that.
Nope, that was not the one. Whatever.
Okay.
Anyways, the issue was that the players wanted to move a specific NPC that unfortunately was locked into their particular map because they had to come back to that lighthouse later on in the campaign. But they insisted that they wanted to move this NPC, which would then mean that the lighthouse wouldn't be accessible in the end of the campaign when they needed to come back because the NPC's not there. I was like, okay, you guys have to understand that without this NPC, this location doesn't exist. And without this location, this NPC doesn't exist. Like they are dependent on one another. So, because they kept insisting, I have decided to implement the rule. And this is going to be rather bluntly worded. I don't care. I've grown out of worrying about how I come across a lot of the time. If a player insists on doing something incredibly stupid or just downright impossible, even within the means of the campaign, I'll let them do it. I'll make them, roll whatever I decide the appropriate skill or attribute would be. But then, because it is so incredibly stupid or physically impossible, that means they're going to have to live with the consequences. So if that die comes out bad, there is no other saving throw. If it kills them, flat out.
Well, I mean, that's just general consequences of D&D anyway. You make a
Exactly.
bad call, you live with what happens.
Yep.
Which is
It's like,
Which
I'll
is
give
why
you 2
I-
chances to change your mind. But if you insist on trying to fight a god and you're not prepared and you want to do it, and I've already told you twice this is not a good idea, that third time, all right, you roll. But the moment you die,
But DM, I just got done playing Final Fantasy. I know I can punch God in the face.
and you might if you were on the Crystal Worlds. You are not.
Ugh.
All right, so how are we all feeling?
I'm kosher.
Feeling pretty good.
Argos feels fine. I'll answer for him. All right, well, this has got everybody's thumbs up. I'm going to go ahead. I'll see if I can't get a schedule out of River. The Necromancer says that their schedule is always chaotic, so they'll just be bouncing in and out as they can. So we're probably going to have to come up with a way to work around that so their character isn't always just left behind. Perhaps one of you may learn or find a convenient scroll of gaseous form in your bag, and we'll just carry them around in a bottle. We'll figure it out. But if
Well, there's
everybody's
always
kosher,
ways.
I think we're good to stop here. What do you guys think?
I am fine.
Yeah, we can stop here.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to take my time after we're done here, though, as I'm just going to slap my character together very fast.
Yeah, well,
Because I can do this shit in 5 minutes.
oh yeah, I mean, like, if you want to play around and retool, that's cool.
Well, my old character uses the old rules, and I will make a substantially better rogue with the new rules, so I am going to do so.
Oh, right. That was another thing I was going to question. How do you guys feel about liches?
Bros before bones. I don't know. I mean, depends on the lich.
Just in general, would you care if you met one?
I mean, do we have to fight it? Because that shit ain't happening until we're at least like level 12 or 14.
I mean, I had one NPC that I could easily transform into a lich. You wouldn't have to fight him, but it would make things a lot more awkward with how he was originally written. But the main question I ask is, whether or not you encounter a lich,
Mhm.
how would you feel if, because liches are ancient, if our liches went by older edition rules?
You're talking about a lich that's so old that they're using second edition spells.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, that's something I've toyed around with occasionally. The funny thing though is with that is that can be a good thing and a bad thing. There's a lot of instant death spells in older editions that don't exist anymore. There's also a lot of spells that are functionally useless nowadays.
Right.
Like there is no reason to ever cast this spell. It doesn't do anything remotely useful and anymore, and you might as well just not even, you know.
Exactly, which means if you guys are cool with that, I can write, like I said, I have one NPC. I can see if I can rewrite him as a lich. He might be a little more fun. Or I could just, write you a jokey one-off NPC for comedic relief if we need it.
I mean, I don't have a problem either way. Like a lich is just another creature that we would encounter. So I mean, I
Besides, we
don't
all know the
particularly
secret to dealing with liches is just finding the phylactery before they become trouble.
find their magic mayo jar and smash it. Actually, that was in one of the. There's a game called, I think it was Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2. It was an action RPG for the PlayStation 2, and there was a lich fight, and the whole map was just full of clay jars, and there was no way to actually kill the lich. Like you could damage him, and he'd go down, and he'd come right back up. And you literally, the whole fight was, as soon as you kill the one of those jars would randomly be his phylactery, and once you smash the correct clay jar, he just instantly died. Which was a kind of a funny boss fight because he just had to dodge his shit while destroying all the clay jars in the room.
Which, if you're a good enough dodger, you could just dodge and let him destroy everything.
Yeah, unfortunately, the game is old enough to where
Yeah, that
it wasn't
doesn't work.
that advanced. His attacks would not damage anything in the room. Only yours did.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you were playing as a sorcerer in the game, just throw out a fireball and just take out a whole bunch of them at once.
Remember, there
Actually,
is
that is
no I in team, but there is several in I cast Fireball.
there. The funny thing though is I this game came out like well before like the internet was really I mean the internet was out, but it wasn't like a big thing. And I found out how to kill him on accident because um I was playing, I think, a warrior or a fighter or something, and I had a magic bow and I shot at him, but the game didn't have auto targeting, so you actually had to manually aim. And I shot at him, and to keep in mind this is like a third person isometric kind of thing, so you're looking top down at all this. And my angle was a little off, and I shot right past him, and I hit a pot. And it turned out that was on a complete accident. Turned out that was his phylactery, and he died.
You gotta love happy accidents.
And then
Alright.
the next Monday I went to school, went online, found out, oh, that is how you beat him. Okay, I was wondering if I found a glitch or something.
Alright, so we're coming up on 2 hours. I don't want the stream to run as long as our usual. Just because we need to have a little shorter streams every now and then for our own mental health. So,
Okay,
I'm gonna bid you guys good night.
alrighty.
And then, I guess with you guys still here, I'm gonna go ahead and say thank you everybody for joining us in the den once more. I will be trying to stream Blueprints and Oblivion this week. I am feeling much better than I had been. I can talk, I can breathe again, I can ramble without getting out of breath, and coughing up a lung like I was doing last week. Please don't forget to join us over on Olaf Productions, 10:15 EST, 9:15 Central, on Friday nights for Pirates of the Geek Vortex, and come back here every Tuesday for Howling into the Void, the Leverage RPG, Badlands, and Bakesales, and whatever fuckery we decide to cast. Night, everybody.